I hope you love adventure. I hope you love chasing after your dreams because the Amateur Otaku is back here and we are talking One Piece. And not just any One Piece, not the manga, not the anime, but Netflix's live action adaptation produced by Tomorrow Studios. We are talking Netflix's One Piece. We've had the chance to watch a couple of episodes, and today we are talking spoiler filled conversation. We're talking about episode one, Romance Dawn. We got Mike, Jamie, and Isaac, and Monkey D. Braffy here, and we can't wait to talk all about that first episode of One Piece. It was amazing. If you have not seen it yet, this might not be the video for you, but if you've watched it and enjoyed it as much as us, join the conversation in the comments and maybe stay tuned because you'll probably hear about a couple of Easter eggs in the episode for those lovers of the manga of One Piece that you may have missed. But here we are, guys. The time has come. It's August 31st. One Piece has come out live for all to see. Eiichiro Oda's masterpiece has a live action adaptation. Nobody thought that it was possible, and it has happened. I'm stoked. Y'all can see my energy because I am loving everything that I'm seeing from the episodes that I've seen of this adaptation. So I'm gonna keep my thoughts towards the end. I want to hear from y'all guys. Let's jump in it. Jamie, I know that you have a little bit of relationship with the anime. You're not entirely caught up.
No, not at all.
And then we have Mike, which has no connection except for all the random calls that I give him. Mike, this is why it's cool. Suddenly, I call him to tell him one cool thing, and we end up having a 15-minute conversation. And he
About the
goes,
cool thing that I still have no context for.
right, but he still finds it cool. So, he's a good sport. So, Jamie, you saw the first episode. Initial thoughts. Go.
I'm honestly blown away by the first episode, even like the first couple episodes that we've seen so far. But the first episode, especially because first impressions are very important, especially in this world of like having so much content. People have so many options. Like you really have to catch people's attention from the first go around. And I think even if you don't have a relationship to One Piece prior to watching this, or even if you do, I feel like people will really be able to enjoy this series quite a bit. I feel like it really does a great job of staying faithful to One Piece, which, this being a Netflix project, especially a live action anime Netflix project, they don't have the best track record with these kinds of projects. So to see that this one is shining so brightly and has been able to so far like completely capture my attention and has me very excited like for like every little bit that I've seen so far. Yeah, I've just been completely blown away. I've really enjoyed it, and it's weird because I started watching One Piece maybe 1 or 2 years ago, but I'm only up to like I think like 140 something episodes, which everybody people who don't know, they're like, wow, that's a lot of episodes. People who do know, they're like, oh, you're at the beginning.
That's
So
10%, isn't it?
But
right,
you're
yeah,
getting
yeah,
into the good stuff. That's all that
right,
matters. You're almost out of
exactly.
Arabasta. That's all that matters.
Exactly. So, that being said, I honestly can't even remember when I started watching. So watching this series and how it kind of like I was saying in like a previous stream, Oda did take this opportunity to kind of reinterpret the beginning of the story of One Piece and kind of gives us little clues for things that I know Brandon was talking about when we get to the Easter eggs, like things that are foreshadowed for later in the series, and even like just adding some either different backstory or more context for things that were like discussed in the anime, but now we actually get to see it on the screen. It was a really awesome experience, and I, this is kind of like this is the underdog story Netflix honestly needed. Like I wasn't expecting to love this as much as I do, but I've been very like excited by it so far and really impressed.
Mikey D. Luffy, what do you got?
Cowabunga. Believe it. So I
Kawagbonga natabayo.
yeah. I know it's probably really bad that I'm wearing a Naruto themed shirt for a One Piece episode, but
Hey,
we're coming with the smoke.
respect. No, hey, Big Three respects Big Three. It's all good.
Yeah, especially since apparently Naruto's getting a live action thing too. We'll talk about that another day. Um,
Produced by Avid Arad, of all people.
Thank you, Doctor.
Let's talk about good things, please.
Oh yeah, One Piece. This show is fun. As somebody who couldn't get into the anime, mainly because of pacing issues, art style not really being my thing, and I just me not like really having a general feel for pirates in general. I just really couldn't get caught up with the anime or even get into it. Like I think I got like 10 episodes into it, which is kind of where the show is picking up, essentially.
Yeah.
By the time we get to episode 2, um, but this retelling I think really works for me. Um, it has the spirit of what I saw in those first 10 episodes of the anime, but it is still being an adaptation. It's doing its own thing. It's still Netflix's One Piece as opposed to we're going to just copy and paste everything from the manga, from the anime. It's doing its own thing, and I think it makes for a better product. Something like Cowboy Bebop tried to be really faithful in some aspects and then was very unfaithful in others, and so it's kind of like a really big hodgepodge of things going on there, which was kind of concerning because this is the same studio that made Cowboy Bebop, but the team behind One Piece had nothing to do with Cowboy Bebop. And looking at the showrunners and everything that they've worked on, they actually did make a lot of things I really love, like Lost, Luke Cage, Agents of Shield, The Defenders. Like they're not the greatest shows, but they're still shows that I enjoyed compared to the other Netflix live action adaptations we've
I
had.
think Luke Cage should get more love than it gets because Luke Cage is amazing.
It's fun. Once Cottonmouth was taken out, it lost a lot of steam for me. But luckily, One Piece hits all those notes. I love the cast. I love Luffy. I love Zoro. I love Nami. I don't know anything about them. Like out of everyone here, I don't know where this goes. I have vague ideas because Brandon would tell me, but Brandon's telling me like 400 episodes from now of what's happening. So nothing in the beginning is registering. Like I have no idea the twists and turns that are ahead, but I'm intrigued. And one thing I appreciate about Luffy's character that they kind of kept and preserved is that stereotypical like shonen protagonist energy. Like he just looks you dead in the eye and says, "I'm gonna be king of the pirates." And it's like that's kind of goofy, but that's who Luffy is, and that's what the anime was always about. So I appreciate them keeping that spirit, but also this Luffy does feel a bit more grounded, even though
Yes.
at his core he has all the characteristics of the original Luffy, but it's not like just watching a walking cartoon. It's still a human being who has the characteristics of Luffy, which is again something a lot of these adaptations kind of missed, where it's like we're gonna take everything you know about this character, put it on screen, but we're not going to faithfully adapt it to the medium that we're in. One Piece, with its set design, like those ships are real, most of them are, and like seeing how they put the time and effort to make things look legit and feel on a grand scale, I think really makes this episode in particular stand out. And I can't wait to see where we go from here. Zoro is the best, of course. Three swords. You can't top that.
Yes. Yes. Mr. Wolf, what are your
You
thoughts
would think
on episode
you
1 of One Piece?
you would think that a pirate's favorite letter is R, but it's actually the C. But in all seriousness, it's just so
Nice
funny.
segue.
It I'm the master of random segues, I know, but I digress. The it's just so funny um, with the whole thing because I I have ne- told Brandon for years about getting into One Piece. It's to the point that it was a sort of like a running joke in the recordings for before we went to YouTube. People that have listened to our old podcast episodes know what I'm talking about. And I have to say, sort of like as someone that loves One Piece, this is just is this a masterpiece per se? No, I wouldn't really say that, but it's so much better than I expected it would be once they announced it. It's it's almost dare I say criminal how good it is to an extent. The cast is perfect. I love that they. It's clear that they had some passion in this project, and I just love the set designs of everything I've seen so far.
This adaptation is, it's funny because when I watched it, there were so many times where I would just go, like I would just clap in excitement because of so many little things that they did. I haven't felt that way. Like I would get like that when Marvel movies still mattered. Like you know what I mean?
Mm.
Like Cap picking up Thor's hammer in Endgame. Like everybody just goes, huh? Like there were so many moments like that during episode one that got my adrenaline rushing, my imagination going, because as a mega fan of One Piece, having caught up with the books, watching the anime now, played games, and really going into this adventure with Luffy and the Straw Hat crew, this adaptation does not feel foreign to everything that I know. And I think that's like the biggest thing, right? Like, I'm glad that people like Jamie that know a little bit about it were able to connect. The fact that Mike, that doesn't know anything about it, was able to connect to the point that he would enjoy it. Um, One could assume when it comes to adaptations, people that don't know will have an easier time or will have less of a prejudice towards watching it because they don't have that much familiarity with it. And I
Yeah.
think it was really daunting watching this and hoping it to be good and then seeing little things here and there. But the fact that when I saw it, it never once felt like it was in one piece. I think it's the biggest takeaway for me. The scale of it, the drama of it, the humor, the honesty, the playfulness, all the characters don't. I don't want to say that they feel like they're popping out of the page, but you can see that the essence from the page was very very well translated because
Yeah.
like Mike was saying, like all the characters feel grounded. They have that grounded factor that the anime manga don't have because they don't need to be grounded because they're animated properties. Here you need some sort of groundness. It cannot be all fantasy, but I love that it feels like a fantasy epic, like where it feels like a world where devil fruit powers make sense. It feels like a world where everybody's going out to sea to find treasure makes sense. It feels like a world where all the Marines exist to bring order in the world because piracy has gone crazy. That thing makes sense in the world of One Piece. And it makes sense in this world. So I love that they found a way to mesh all those things together to be as faithful as they can, but also keeping it as fresh and accessible as they can, which is why I can also say that I feel this is the most accessible adaptation of any anime that I've seen. And this is someone that has seen, and we've covered, Isaac, we've covered all the Rurouni Kenshin movies. And we've always talked about how those are some, if not the best anime adaptations we've seen, and they are successful because they are accessible. They feel that you don't need to have anime baggage to be able to enjoy them. These don't feel like that either. And also, and I love how the show was built for new people, but it was really built for the fans in the best way possible. I love that the show is built on fan service, but in what real fan service is, which is not like a cameo that makes no sense here or a picture that makes no sense there, or for some reason seeing a transformation at the end that doesn't make any sense. Real fan service is when you show audiences that you care about the material and you find ways to make it work. And I think that's what they've done. Luffy feels like Luffy. Zoro feels like Zoro. Nami feels like Nami. Garp feels and looks like Garp. Like, and I do love how multicultural the world of One Piece feels. Like, because everybody like everybody speaks the same language, but you can feel that everybody comes from different places. Like freaking Garp has a Scottish accent, probably because the actor has a Scottish accent, and it works. Iñaki has his accent. I love all the characters. It's pretty great. Um, I want to jump into a lot of the Easter eggs um,
This
that
is a
are that
spoiler
are
cast. Let's do it.
yes, but I do want to talk about what were your favorite scenes of this episode one.
Having no backstory on One Piece, seeing the flashbacks with Kid Luffy, seeing Shanks, those are really cool moments because again, this is a world that I am aware of, but I have no interaction with it really. And since they changed the pacing a bit and moved things around, I'm seeing flashbacks and scenes that I didn't see in those first few episodes of the anime that I watched. And so I'm getting more context. So the world building, I think, in this first episode is really strong. Um, and I love how they kind of like you were saying, Brandon, they made sure right away we know we're in a fantasy world because it at first it kind of just feels like we're in a pirate adventure show, which is a thing that has existed for a while. You know, we've had Vikings, we've even had some a little bit more fantasy with something like the Pirates of the Caribbean. But it's like, yeah, we're gonna show you the devil fruit, and Luffy's gonna just stretch and get all weird and crazy, and the first time you see Luffy use his power, you're kind of taken aback, like, oh, that looks kind of weird, and then you're like, it's okay that it looks weird because nobody's supposed to do that, you know.
Right.
So like the effects being a little jank with his stretching ability, it fits, and it also fits Luffy's personality because it is kind of goofy, weird, and fun. So that for me, I think is my favorite part of the episode. It's just like the world building and kind of how they tied all these characters together. The first time I watched this episode, it felt a little choppy with the editing because like we're with Luffy for a very large chunk, and then we just cut to Zoro, and then we just cut to Nami with like no warning or context. But after a second viewing, it felt a little bit more natural on how they brought it together. So I appreciate them kind of just getting us straight into the action there and seeing everything kind of build up and go as we get to episode 2 because it gets going a lot.
I love that the gum gum fruit looks like the gum gum fruit. And the
Yeah.
fact that we literally see him eating the freaking fruit. Like that to me blew my mind. Like the fact that we're going to see people eat these fruits. And I love how you mentioned the whole thing with the effects, that it all looks janky and unnatural. But that's kind of the point.
Right.
People that eat these fruits have unnatural powers, and I like that take. I like that take. I remember when I saw him open the case to see the devil fruit, and also I like the fact that that was a little change from the book, because in the book he starts to anger eat because Shanks is just making fun of him because he's just a kid and he can't be a pirate. He's not ready, and he's making fun because he's making fun of Luffy because he's a kid. And then he gets angry, sees the fruit on the side, and anger eats it as dessert. But I like the idea that in the show it occurred like it would happen in any other show with a kid. Kids are curious. He sees a box that looks a lot different than all the other boxes. It kind of calls him, and he finds the fruit and eats it. And it was exactly like the anime. Shanks grabs him, Luffy tries to run away, and he stretches. And that's just
Mm-hmm.
like the book was. So that was mwah. Jamie, favorite moments of this first episode.
Well, until Chopper hits the screen, which will probably be a season 2 thing.
Man,
Zoro. Seeing Zoro, listen, that actor, if they ever do a live action JoJo, I need it to be Jotaro because he oozes coolness. He's like very like I don't want to say he's like a
Totoro.
jerk, but he seems like the kind of guy you just don't want to mess with, like he's
Yeah,
very serious.
yeah. Yes.
But he also has levity to him and has fun with the rest of the crew. So seeing Zoro's introduction and also Zoro like immediately getting into a fight and seeing his like sword skills was really cool. I just feel like the fighting in general with this show has also been like really awesome to see. Because we have like these like scenes that are very well choreographed, and I feel like they're grounded enough to where it's like, okay, I believe what's going on, even though it's like, people with stretchy arms and like three
Yeah.
swords and all of this craziness. But at the same time, they still are able to work in like these really good character moments that we like love to see in One Piece and lots of other anime. So, but definitely Zoro's introduction is probably my favorite. Even though I do kind of agree with Mike, it felt like a little bit sudden, but it was suddenly cool, so I'm like, okay.
It was sudden, but suddenly cool. I like
Right.
that.
that
I
that
can see it
is
on. That's like the tag right on the commercial. Like the amateur taco says, it's suddenly cool.
yeah, Zoro. Like, I'm glad you brought up the fight choreography, Jamie, because they don't cut away. They don't like they let the scenes play out, and you see the flips, you see every slash, every punch, and I appreciate that because in shows like this, they can get very choppy. And again, going back to the showrunners, that could be the Marvel background of showing the powers of Agents of Shield or showing the fights in Luke Cage. Um, and again, like just character arcs in Lost. Again, I want to emphasize the people working on this show have made good shows before, which is a very big difference to some of the other things we've covered on this podcast.
Yes.
But yeah, the fight scenes I think fantastic. I love how they take advantage of Luffy's powers because Guy Who Stretches could have been the most basic thing ever, but they actually do know how to have fun with it. When he gets
Yes.
shot and the bullet doesn't just bounce off him like Superman, it just like goes into his chest and then pops
Yes.
out.
Wow.
Hilarious.
Take
Yep.
notes, Marvel, with your Fantastic Four movie.
As long as Reed doesn't
What?
get turned into spaghetti again, we're good.
Oh man, that was
And
Good.
crazy.
That's so Isaac. What was your favorite moment of episode one, Romance
the
Dawn?
fact the fact that they show a part of Zoro's backstory that is only mentioned in the manga. It was a
Yes.
show don't tell here, and I also uh, no that was a different episode. My bad, but yeah, I would say it's that part.
Yeah. And with that, I don't know what my favorite moment was. I love the whole episode as a whole. I know
Also,
That's cheating.
before
You can't have
that.
us do that
before
and then you cheat.
before
I, no, don't
Brandon,
worry.
Brandon,
Go. Go.
before you start, it's funny that you mentioned that he should play Yotaro in a live action JoJo movie. He played Okayasu Nijimura from JoJo in a live action JoJo Bizarre Adventure movie,
Yeah.
although it was based around Joseph's illegitimate
Oh,
son.
Diamonds
I think.
Unbreakable.
Yeah,
Mm, mm,
just a
mm,
random
mm, mm,
knowledge.
mm, 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 mm,
Hmm.
mm,
There you
mm. So crazy, bizarre world. Such a great track. Anime, Diamonds Unbreakable, JoJo. Okay, I'm gonna stop. So it's a cop out. Yes, Mike. I like the whole episode because to me, what I love the most is really the Easter eggs more than anything. And there were so many. There were so many. And I love the fact that all of them came up naturally. But it, I'm a big Luffy fan. I think Luffy if not one of the best main characters in any medium that I've known, and I've read a lot. And he's just great because he's a very simple person, and all he cares about not only is freedom and dreams and his own dreams, but he believes in supporting those that want to go after their own dreams, which is kind of like where the arc with Kobe starts, right? It's the whole thing that don't call your dreams stupid, don't call it dumb, and then he slaps Kobe in the face. Like
Yeah.
that is like the most Luffy move ever. And the fact that Kobe gathers the courage to follow his dream, and Luffy just smiles and goes, "Okay, I'll see you next time." Like, you know what I mean? Like that is just the biggest Luffy thing ever. And when he talks to Zoro, "Oh, I have something I have to do, and I promised someone to be the world's greatest swordsman." And the first thing Luffy says, "That's awesome." Like
Yeah.
he loves people that have dreams and that are willing to do whatever's necessary to fulfill them, because that's just who he is. And the fact that you can see that pouring out of Inaki's Godoy's, the script that he's given, and also his performance, how it feels genuine, childlike, genuine, but also mature in the way that when he like, he can be weird and asking for food every 5 seconds and funny and hilarious and stupid, but he will never be someone to disrespect someone's dreams, because he knows how important that is, because his life depends on the dream that he has. So I love that that's there. The only little nitpick that I have of the episode, and I know is the fact that Kobe didn't scream at Alvita and called her what he really thought about her to her face, which to me is a big moment in Kobe's story, but it's fine. But I dig the episode, like Goldie Rogers' execution, all the people that were present there. I love that it's not a scene, but I love the showrunners understand how big this world is, and they are not trying to hide it. You know how in some shows, right? Like we know that Spider-Man and Daredevil pretty much operate in the same city. They operate in Manhattan, they operate in New York, but then we don't see them together ever, except in a weird cameo that makes no sense, kind of makes sense, in No Way Home, right? Exactly. We see that, but we don't see Daredevil and Spider-Man doing their thing together. You know what I mean? Um,
Mhm.
and we need so much preparation. No, I love how the showrunners make it a point to let you know this world is huge, and there's so many people in this world, and we're going to let you know that we're aware about. We're not hiding anything. If you don't see something, it's because we haven't gotten to that storyline, but we're never going to make this world feel small, because we know it's not. And it starts from the first scenes, and I'm going to go into the Easter eggs. So in Goldie Rogers' execution, there's so many things that occur. So the first thing is, we all know, at least what we see, Garp was part of the party that got Goldie Roger captured. But if you guys caught it, when Garp literally told Roger, like, "I warned you about this. Like, I told you that this would happen if you kept doing the things that you were doing," right? It literally lets you know that there's a relationship there. Like, they don't just, it's not just that Garp captured Roger. Like, they've been at this for a while. There's something there, which I like how, because when it's true in the books, like Goldie Roger and Garp have known each other. And I like the idea that that's kind of what they're introducing, which it kind of translates to what Kobe and Luffy's relationship is probably going to be, because Kobe's a Marine and Luffy's a pirate. But then in the audience, you see Mihawk was in the execution. You see Shanks in the execution, but a much younger Shanks. Um, you see someone wearing a big green cape that's covering him. And that is one of the biggest Easter eggs, because for those that know about One Piece lore, who wears a big green cape, Isaac?
Are we going to spoil this or not?
Yes,
Because
it's a
we're gonna.
spoiler.
Yeah,
It's a spoiler.
then
Yeah,
yeah, then
yeah.
you do that because I don't want to spoil future arcs.
He's like, that's on you, dog, not on me.
Okay, bet.
It's a
Because the
spoiler
one
video
person,
though.
the person that wears this garb is Monkey D. Dragon, which it again, we don't know if this is going to be renewed. So it doesn't matter if we spoil a bunch of stuff, because if they make it there, they make it there. This is a spoiler video,
Yeah, I know.
guys. But Monkey D. Dragon is Garp's son, and he's a revolutionary, and he's known by that green cape, which and he plays a big role in the future. Which
And he
I'm
doesn't
not
look like it. And he doesn't really look like his dad in the comics. There are or comics or
true,
manga. I mean,
true, 100% true. But that was one of those big things. Like from the get go, you see all these people at the execution, and that right there gives you such a big view of how big the world is, because we see some of the biggest players in piracy or in this world there. When we move away, we automatically see that nice, cute scene where Luffy's in his boat by himself that's already getting water. And you
Yeah.
see this bird with the newspapers. That is the world economy paper, which is the paper that everybody gets where all the wanted. That's the paper where all the wanted posters arrive in. And that's run by Big News Morgan, which is a huge bird person, um, which is awesome. I think it's a Big Bird reference, but we're not going to talk about that. You get the speech from Gold Roger. Um, so that scene where Luffy is fighting Alvida, you got the rubber bullet bouncing off
also,
him. Go.
also, correct me if I'm wrong because because it's late here, but Garp isn't in the Roger's executions
I don't
in the
believe he's
manga,
in the
right?
execution in the book. I don't think Garp
But
becomes a figure till like till after Loketown, actually.
yeah, because honestly, the more I think about it, having Garp at the execution site when they execute Rogers actually makes sense. It's almost like Oda is. Why didn't I do that in the book? Let's add that for the live action.
It could be,
Because
but also it makes sense to have him there because it makes him it gives it justifies how big of a role they give Garp throughout the series, because we see him in almost every episode. So, and I think that's great. And I'm not going to reveal why Garp is so important to everybody, but those that know. So that's something I won't spoil. Um, now, because he's already someone that's present here. Now, Jamie mentioned the Sorrow fight, and Isaac mentioned the Sorrow fight, and you mentioned the choreography, Mike. I love the Sorrow fight, but not just because the fight was awesome, but also because it's the biggest Easter egg ever. Because there's a fight against there's a whole arc where the Straw Hats are facing Baroque Works and their leader. And during that arc, Zoro fights a man that has eaten the slice fruit, which makes his body into a sword. And while he's fighting that guy, he says, "You're Roronorsoro. You're the one that took down number 7 when we sent him to recruit you." And Zoro says, "Yeah, you guys don't like rejections. I had given him one condition. I would come join you if I could be the boss." But he said no. So the battle that we see Zoro have is a great way of introducing Zoro, because it is something that happened in the greater One Piece world. We just never saw it before. But it's also awesome because Zoro joining Luffy's crew officially is a big turning point for Zoro's story. And the idea that he was not approached once but twice by two different parties trying to recruit him as one of the best acquirers, and he's saying no, it's going to bring a lot more weight to when he actually says yes to Luffy. You know what I mean? So I love that build up in Zoro's story, and also he's cool. The actor as Zoro is perfect.
Something
Um,
I appreciate about the payoff there with Zoro is like you said, like multiple people coming to him saying, "You should join me." The moment that really stuck out for me is also a very big Luffy moment. Like he's untying him and he's like, "I'm still not going to join your crew." And Luffy's like, "Okay, go do your sword thing." And he just walks away. He says, "Good luck." It's like Luffy took rejection very well, and he's like, "Look, man, I'm just letting you out, and I want you to go achieve your dream, whether it's with me or not. Have a nice day. Bye." And it's
Yep.
like,
That's a real friend.
yes, yep. And that's also like the way Luffy does it, because he's not like, I don't want you to achieve your dream because it's gonna it's gonna pay something off for me.
Yeah.
Like, you achieving your dream does nothing to me. It's everything about you. Now, of course, we all know that Luffy loves the idea of having the world's greatest swordsman in his crew. He loves that, but not because he wants to use the world's greatest swordsman. He wants someone with the same drive for his own dream as he has. And I love that every member of the Straw Hats, in a way, share that. They all have their own dreams and they all push each other towards them, which is, I
Mhm.
think, that's kind of the quality that I think Zoro respects about Luffy so much, no matter how wacky and crazy he is. Um,
Yeah.
so going back to the Alvida fight, which is a great Easter egg, and just picturing, so the bullet bouncing off Luffy is one thing, but also when Alvida actually lands the mace on top of Luffy's head, and his head kind of like becomes rubber and absorbs it, and he just bounces off. That it's pure manga panel. Like, it's exactly like the manga. So that, like, those little tributes that only people like me will pay attention to are just great. Um, so when they arrive to Shelltown, another great Easter egg, all the wanted posters. There's a bunch of wanted posters that are for characters that don't appear till like 600 chapters forward.
Mhm.
Like Bellamy is from the Skypiea arc, and then
Yep, I'm
later the
about to get into
Dressrosa
that.
arc. Yeah, you got Bellamy from the Don Quixote pirates. You have Cavendish, the pirate prince from the Beautiful Pirates, and you have Irene Selvita there as well, and you have Foxy, the Silver Fox, from the Foxy Pirates. Like,
Oh.
all those wanted posters are there, and also that nice thing about that, every time you meet a big pirate, you see the poster, and like they break the poster. Like, that, to me, like the first time we saw it was with Alvida. That is such a great touch. And again, always playing into that fantasy feel, right?
Mhm.
Um, I think that was great. That
And
was
I
awesome.
feel like it's also like, even though there's not scouters in the one, well, at least as far as I know, there's not scouters in the One Piece universe. So that's kind of like your barometer, like, oh, like how bad is this dude? They're only worth like 100 million, like, whatever, 20 million.
Yes,
Whoa, hold on,
yes,
like we got a
yes,
big dude over here. So it's cool to see like. As they are approaching more and more like different kinds of pirates, you see their wanted posters pop up, and it's like, all this one's worth a whole lot much more, so it's going to be even more trouble and
yeah.
probably more entertainment for us fans. So it's really cool. I really like what they've done with the wanted posters as well.
I'm a couple episodes ahead of you guys. There's a wanted poster where it's like the money was so much higher than all the ones we've seen thus far. I'm like, oh, this guy's a big deal. That was my clue. I'm like, oh crap,
Yep.
we're in trouble.
Yep, yep, yep. And I love that you say that, because it is a barometer of scale.
Mhm.
There's this funny moment, which again, it's not a huge spoiler, but there's this funny moment where Luffy's bounty is 30,000, 30 million, wait, 30,000 berries. And then suddenly
Oolongs.
he does, that's Cowboy Bebop. They're berries here. Respect. Um,
Mhm.
even though we know that this new anime that Watanabe is making, it's going to be Woolongs too, because, they're all Woolongs. Um, Stop smiling. Um, now, the cool thing is that these people, some pirates, start bullying on Luffy because they think he's just 30,000. But then after they bully him and they find him, they go, "Hey guys, we're in trouble because there's an updated wanted poster. His bounty's 1 million." So it is a scale barometer of power and of threat, for both the Straw Hats and the pirates they encounter throughout the Grand Line. So yes, I'm glad you guys are catching on to that without even knowing these things, but they play a big role, which I love. Like, again, the showrunners are paying attention to the things that matter, to the things that talk One Piece. Like, they speak the language, which I think is a big factor. The Gun Gun pistol was great. The fact that Soro and and Luffy were able to work together, and Zoro was able to respect him to work together and fight, and that's how they take down Axe Hand Morgan. And the idea that he screams Gum Gum Whip, and he goes, "Yeah, big fighters call out their finishing moves," and Zoro goes, "No, they don't." Which I can't wait for Zoro to start doing the same thing, and it being amazing. Zoro putting the sword in his mouth and the bandana. That right there was just mwah. And of course, Luffy going. I love that it was a big deal when he does it too. Like for a moment, we do get that little conversation between him and Ko is like, he has three swords. Like, where does the other one go? Like, how does this work? And suddenly when he does it, he goes, so that's where it goes. See, those are the little moments that make you very happy.
The only
So
thing
what
that I'm
you're
kind of
s-
go ahead. Sorry.
so what you're saying is that Luffy was thinking if the third sword was he was stopping it up his ass. Is that what you're saying?
He would have had the same reaction. Oh, that's where it goes.
I mean, it didn't have to go all the way up. Maybe it could have just been he's got really tight glutes, just hold it together.
If anybody can work those muscles, it's probably Zoro.
Exactly.
Oh.
So
I was just gonna say I can't believe Axe Hand let him take the time to put that bandana on in slow motion. He just went super slow, and he just stood there, watched it happen. It's like, my guy, it's one thing if you let him unsheath the third sword, but the bandana, come on, you gotta
See,
attack
con-
now.
That's why he doesn't run things anymore.
No,
True.
but I do love the fact that they made the three sword style make sense to a degree because they have that shot where he's menacing and puts a third sword in Axe Hand's throat. Like to me,
Yeah.
that was a nice touch because they didn't make it just a gimmick. They made it like, no, this is how he fights. This is the three sword style. So that was pretty cool. I love the fact that they pay attention to Nami's relationship with pirates because it does start how we see it in the film in the show. That's how it starts in the you know in the books. We do see a glimpse of Buggy's unicycle pirate Kashinko in the bar. We see a very small glimpse of him, and in the end of the episode where we see Buggy, which is awesome. And again, we get another wanted poster shot, which was
Mhm.
great. Um,
Yeah, and then he interacts with it and like pushes it out the way. And it's like, oh,
yes,
okay, we're breaking fourth wall now. Neat.
Yeah.
yes, I love it. I love the "we are not a crew" energy, even though that doesn't happen in the book. That is one of those things that makes the show feel grounded. You know what I mean? Like people don't just automatically go, "Yeah, I'll follow you, you rubber person." I love that they're building towards that relationship, that connection. I love that because it's going to make whenever they make the decision to become the straw hats become so much more meaningful. So I love that.
I I appreciate everything you just said there because again, as somebody who is not that familiar with this world, that makes total sense because the episode goes out its way. We talked about how faithful Luffy is. Luffy is a moron. And
Yes.
don't shy away from it.
No,
And
but he's stealthy though.
Yes, very.
sure. Yeah.
Biggest joke right now.
But yeah, so
Yes.
Luffy is a moron, and Nami and Zoro both think they're smarter than him. So of course they don't want to be a part of his crew and he be their leader. They be his
Mhm.
merry men, right? He's going to have to earn it. And throughout the course of this season, it's going to be interesting to see him earn that respect. Like
Yes.
they're with him out of necessity, not necessarily because they want to, but over
Right.
time you see them kind of warm up to them. So
Yes.
I'm excited to see that development. And I think again, being more grounded, having that little bit of tension really works because again, as somebody who doesn't care about One Piece, you also have to make the viewer understand why they want to follow Luffy. Because right now he's just a kid in a boat that's constantly flooding and he can't swim. So Not the
and
smartest tool in the shed right now.
and he wants to go to the Grand Line,
And
but
has
he
no
doesn't know how
idea.
to get there.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then he
Now,
almost got Kobe killed because he's just like, oh yeah, he says you suck,
Oh,
man.
that was so funny.
It's, but he handled it. And again, that's again him. We're getting more
yes,
respect for him because like, yeah, you talked crap, but you backed it up. So good on you.
yes. That's
Right.
he's the king of backing up the crap he says. If Luffy's anything, he's the king of that. And always eating everyone else's food. So I love how
Right.
they're in the restaurant. What a phenomenal Luffy move, where Kobe says, "Oh no, we're good on food," and Luffy goes, "No, no, more is better. More is always better. Just leave the food here." And he just
Gotta feed
eats
the
meat.
brain.
Right.
That's the line. Um, I love so even though we do have to admit, I think we're all in the consensus here, and I don't want to talk about nitpick because it is sort of a little nitpick on my end. The music department is kind of lacking a little bit.
Mhm.
I've yet to hear anything that's like, oh, right. But
Yeah.
I gotta say, the fact that Bing's Brew is playing at Windmill Village while Shank's crew is there, sorry, it's phenomenal. And for those that don't know, Bing's Brew, if you guys go back to watch the episode, it's literally yo 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 that song. Dun, da, 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 dee, da, da, dee, da, 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 dum. It's a shanty that's been made famous in the world of One Piece and has a huge importance in Thriller Bark out of all arcs, especially with the backstory of Laboon, which is a huge whale that's beautiful and gorgeous, and the great pirate Brook, skeleton and naughty pirate. But it's a song that's a staple of all the shanties that you can hear in the One Piece world. It's a staple in shanty in all One Piece fandom, and the fact that it's playing there, and in the books, while Brook is playing that song, Luffy goes to Brook and go, "Hey, Shanks and his crew used to sing this song all the time." And it's like one of those little things that they're already setting up precedent for if they ever get to those phenomenal moments of story. They're setting up all the pieces here. They're not holding anything back again to make sure that people know we recognize that this is a huge world. So they're doing their part and it's great. I'm
I'm
almost done.
definitely. Oh,
Go,
go,
go.
yeah.
No, no, go, 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 go.
I
Go.
was just gonna say I'm definitely with you as far as the like scoring goes for this series so far. I am a little bit disappointed because I feel like almost every episode of One Piece, I feel like I hear at least one or two like pieces play per episode. So to not hear anything recognizable, at least for right now, I'm a little bit sad. But I feel like it's like, what they had, the score that they have for the series right now, I don't think is terrible or anything. I think it fits well, but just like I have my ear out for those things, especially
For the
for
iconic.
One Piece, right? Yeah, because One
Yeah,
Piece
yeah,
is like, I feel like there aren't very many anime that I get like super attached to the music, but One Piece is like they almost drill into you like three or four different
yeah.
songs.
Da-da-da,
Yeah, so I'm like,
da-da-da.
you know,
Yeah.
I'm hoping we get like at least like if somebody powers up or we have like some kind of big moment at the end of the season, they'll bring it back, and then like maybe we can start to progressively have more and more. So
I'm gonna say this. According to the trailer, we're supposed to go all the way into Arlong Park, which for those that do math, I did a little math. It's 95 chapters, people. They're covering 95 chapters of story in this season alone, which is phenomenal, right? Which means that we can see Wano in 10 seasons. No, sorry, I got excited. Gear fifth. Sorry.
Is that
Yeah,
all
that's
it would
just not.
take? Is 10 seasons of 8 episodes? That's doable. Come on.
It is
I
doable.
mean,
It
that
is.
is actually that's
I mean
shorter
that.
than the actual anime.
I mean
Exactly.
that.
Yeah.
I mean that budget's gonna go up though. I'm telling you.
Oh, for sure, for sure.
But that being
Gear
said,
5 alone would just cost an
yeah,
entire
make
season.
make make. um, Those that
I'm
know know.
serious.
I
Doing
believe you.
Gear 5 in live
Gear
action would
4,
just be.
bro. Doing Gear 4, it's gonna be crazy. Gear
Yeah,
4,
It's
especially
kind of
Snake
funny
Man.
listening to the
I
names of
would
the
say,
transformations because I always think
I
of
would
like
still say
cars. I'm
that
like, there's Luffy in Gear 5. Like,
It's
I
funny
still say
because
that
Gear 4.
5 would cost more, but yes, you are
Let's
absolutely
get to
right.
gear
4 would.
one first, people.
Well,
nah, we're
Gear
going
1
straight to
is
5.
standard Luffy, by the way.
Yeah,
Gear 1
let's
is
finish
normal
that.
Luffy. Okay,
We
let's go
gotta
with
meet
Gear,
Come on,
Sanji.
Mike.
and then Gear Segundo. Okay, sorry, got excited. So now
Let's
the
just hope it
last
doesn't get
Easter egg.
canceled the day after it comes out, like
Shut up.
Cowboy Bebop. I'm just saying.
Damn
Nah,
it.
Let's
no,
slow down.
no. I would be like something would have to go horribly wrong
Hey, remember,
for that to
Mike,
happen.
you can't tell me to slow down. Remember, this is a show about dreamers. Okay, I'm gonna dream.
All right.
We are fighting
Good luck with that.
dreamers. See, tying the
I'm
Naruto
gonna
reference,
buy
Mike.
down dreamers. Da, 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 dreamers. Hey, big three, respect big three. I'm okay with that. Now, the
Except
last
Bleach.
big, yes, the last big amazing Easter egg is the freaking, they fucking nailed the transponder snails. That
Oh, that
was
was so funny.
so good. That was so good. And not just the fact that they got the snails right, the fact that the snails look like their owners. To me, that's like the biggest amazing. Now I have to see the pocket snail. That's what I want to see now. Like some of them carry a little snail in the pocket
Mm,
and they use
mm.
it like walkie-talkies. Like that's what I need to see now. But that, like the fact that Big Axe Morgan had a transponder nail that looked like him, like it had its own metal shin and everything, that was hilarious.
I'm gonna be real. That's the moment that kind of took me out of it a little bit. Where it's like we were grounded enough. Like we had the weird stretchy powers, but like once I saw these weird looking snails, I'm like, oh, okay, that's a bit weird. I don't know if I
That's
like this.
fair. That's fair. It is very like jarring to see,
Yes.
especially for me. Like I'm not really big into like creepy like bugs or I mean, we can add snails to the list after after seeing that episode. But I also, understand that that is a part of One Piece, and I've seen multiple
Yes.
scenes where like they're talking to each other, snail mail, like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I thought it was really funny. I'm like, oh, like that's a great way to kind of like add something to the snails that they didn't necessarily have before, and like kind of making it their own. So I thought it was cool.
No, and I think they
They are
also got
gross
like
though.
yes. And but I think I just want to hear the sound effect. Better, better, bet, better,
Yes.
better, bet, better, 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 better. That's what. And the funny thing is that when the snails are working, their mouths move as the people that are talking, and it's
That's so
hilarious.
weird.
No, and the funny thing is, so for example, like certain villains have their personalized snails, and the snails look like them. So like there's like Doflamingo snail has like little sunglasses. Trafalgar snail has
Oh,
the same hat that he has. Crocodile snail has a cigar. Like
hmm.
it's amazing. But yeah, guys, if I missed any Easter eggs, tell us. But I think I caught most of them, if not all.
Yeah. Let
Um,
us know what your
lo-
favorite moment was in the comments.
Isaac, I'm excited to see more of this show. Are you?
Arr.
Ahoy.
Ahoy!
I love when they were struggling with the safe and like they're like we got to get some rope and we can drag it and then Zoro just picks it up, throws it over his shoulder.
That's
Yes,
Like,
my man.
that's a
dude.
very that's a very Sora move. Zoro is see. I can't wait to see him training. I don't think we've seen him training by himself because the ship that they have so far is too small.
Yeah.
But once they get the going merry, there has to be a scene where he's just doing the weights or something. So what I was gonna say about the this, I think is the last thing before we close.
Yeah.
Like you were mentioning soundtrack, we're mentioning music. I was a little disappointing, blah blah. But the fact that we got Big Screw has me hopeful. I really hope that they play under Overtaken, which is that classic dun dun dun
Yes. Yes. Yes.
dun dun dun, dun
That's what I've been looking for.
which I think the first time that ever happens in the anime is when they're all walking to Arlong Park after they commit to
Oh.
helping Nami.
Okay.
which is kind of that scene where Luffy starts. They pull a what movie's done it recently? But they pull that thing where Luffy's walking by himself, and then he passes by Zoro, and Zoro joins him, and he passes by Usopp,
Guardians
and
3.
Usopp joins. Yes. So they do the thing. Well, actually, Guardians 1 does it.
They did it, but you said recently, so I just
Oh,
named
okay.
Guardians 3.
Damn it. Yes, I did say that. But yeah, like that's like the first moment that I can remember where they really like they do the song and it's like
They get a lot of mileage out of that one.
What if they
Yes,
just
so
do like
good.
Guardians 3? No, sleep in Brooklyn. That'd be so random, but I love it honestly.
And it's played on a transponder snail radio that looks
Oh,
like Rocket.
God. Chopper, but
Yes.
yeah.
Hey, it's not a raccoon. He's a reindeer.
Exactly.
So guys, we've done it. We've talked episode 1. I think episode 1 it's great. It literally combines the first 3-4 episodes of the manga and the anime. It does a great job of telling you who these characters are and where they're going, and leaves us a great tease of Buggy the Pirate as the next threat of the East Blue that we meet on episode 2. So guys, I hope you're enjoying One Piece as much as we are because we're loving the hell out of it. We're going to keep doing these spoiler reviews and talk about the episodes and the amazing things we see as we watch One Piece on Netflix. Let us know what were your favorite moments, what spoilers you enjoy, what Easter eggs you saw that maybe I missed. And let us know in the comments below if you want us to keep covering One Piece in different fashions. Whereas the manga, want us to do a Gear 5 episode, want to know what the gears are, devil fruits. That's a lot of work, but I'll do it. So let us know what you want us to cover next, and we will see you next time where the Amateur Otaku crew, those towel straw hats, will talk One Piece. We will see you next time, guys. Have it awesome. Peace.
Sweet.
Don't let your dreams be dreams.
Just do it.